Hello, everyone. This is Jordan. Welcome back to the Daily Gold YouTube channel. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you're new here, as we do each and every Friday, we wrap up the week in precious metals and we look ahead. And boy, it was another good week for gold and gold stocks, especially silver broke out the previous week. This week, very strong move in gold and gold stocks as well. And the reality is, regardless of the geopolitical news, it looks like we are in the later stages of this correction in precious metals. And at every turn, when we have been expecting weakness, the market has not obliged. And when we have been expecting a rebound, the market has been stronger than we anticipated. So where we are here and now, we have to brace for potentially the next leg higher in the sector beginning. If not now, maybe the correction continues for a couple more weeks, but looks to be happening soon. Enough with the preamble. Let's get to the charts. So we start off with a market overview. These custom 3-month charts here. There's 3-month candle charts from stock charts. Gold here, silver here, gold against the stock market, GDX, GDXJ, SILJ. And here is the story for gold. Just a very bullish consolidation, any way you slice it. And look, even if this consolidation were to continue like this, which I would prefer, it's still very bullish. And that's because gold is holding all these gains that it made here. It's digesting, holding really nicely. So in a very bullish position. We know that silver broke above 35 last week. Yeah, there's been some selling this week, but look, nothing too significant. You see these long tails here. That means even though there was weakness in the market closed off the lows of the day. So there's accumulation on weakness. Silver holding that breakout so far. Gold against the S&P, nice little pop last couple days. Turning to the stocks, just continued strong action. In the last week or two, we noted how the gold stocks had broken out against gold, silver stocks broken out against silver. And look, people, this is just very strong action in the miners. Silver against the 60-40 here. This is a 60-40 ETF. And last week, that did close at a new 4.5-year high. So that's pulled back a little bit, but nothing to worry about. Stock markets rallied in recent months, but the gains have slowed down. Here it is. 10-year yield going sideways. Here you see all the moving averages right here. So it's a sideways market. Not sure where the next move is going to be. With that, let's get into precious metals markets specifically. Okay, so starting off here, we have gold, daily candle chart, silver, the daily candle chart here as well. And so looking at gold, this is a sketch of potentially how this could play out. So this is a bullish consolidation. That doesn't mean it's going to zoom higher like this immediately. You could get some sideways action like this before it moves higher. Look, even if it were to fall below this support here and go down here again, as long as it rallied back up like this, it would still be in a really, really bullish position. So medium term, this still looks really, really bullish to me. Of course, short term, we can see here, there is a threat it can move like this. But, it may need a little more time before it begins like a runaway or breakout like move to the upside. But again, still really bullish. Here's silver, of course, broke out above 35 last week. And so on a potential back test or retest, 34 and a half here. So this is a level that is going to be good short-term support. If you had a bigger reversal than that, look at this 200-day moving average. That's coming up in the next 2 months. That's going to be pretty close to 34. Gold-silver ratio, that broke down last week. This past week rallied in favor of gold. So we'll see what happens if it comes back here, if it rolls over again. Now, moving on to the weekly charts. And look at this. This is a strong weekly candle. I wasn't a fan of this action here. It was correcting, not the best candles. But we can see here 3 weeks ago, big, strong white candle. This week, big, strong white candle, close at the high. It's clearly taken out the previous weekly all-time high here. This is a new weekly all-time high. And here we see gold, the weekly candles here. The weekly line chart, this is silver. Weekly line chart for silver is here, and we can see the clear breakout. By the way, this action projects to about 41. There's a measured upside target in silver of 41, which, by the way, another by the way for you, If you look at the monthly chart of silver, which we will in the next couple weeks, outside of 35 and 50, the next big resistance is at 41.42. So this breakout in the measured upside target of 41 aligns perfectly with the next resistance after 37. So if silver can move above 37, it should continue on to 41. If not, and it struggles there, maybe it pulls back to 34 for a little while. Now let's look at some analogs, because the analogs are showing something very interesting. And shout out on Twitter to I'm a Good Observer. I believe that's what his handle is. And he made this chart based on our gold all-time high breakout analog. And so these are the averages here, these dotted lines, but you also have this here, which is from 2009, 2010, 2011, that breakout move. Then you have the two moves in the 70s. Now, what's interesting is at this point in time, a week from now, look at what happens. You have that move here, and then look at the moves in the 1970s. From this point here, both of them really accelerated. And of course, the averages had about, you call it 2.5 months of a bullish consolidation here. Then the market took off. So this is where we are here and now. I would love to see maybe another month of like a bullish consolidation, maybe from 33 to 35, setting up for a powerful move higher. Don't know if that's going to happen in the next month or two, but again, would love to see 3 or 4 weeks of bullish consolidation that can set this thing up for a really strong move into the end of summer. So that's gold. And also looking at the silver bull analog, a little different. This is just a silver bull analog. These thick dots, that's the average of the 4 biggest cyclical bull moves in silver. Here's the current one in black. And look at when this accelerates. This accelerates right around 50, right around this point here. And that is basically right at the beginning of 2026. You can see how this thing could really take off. So what the silver bull analog shows us is we could see, I believe this is a peak of 45, 46 this year. So based on the analog, that could be a target for the end of the year. But given the obvious technicals, maybe silver can reach 50 by the end of the year, and then it pulls back at some point down to 41, 39, somewhere in there before it makes that move to break above $50 sometime next year. So that's it for the bull analogs. Let's talk about the stocks, and let's talk about the Daily Gold Premium for a moment. This is our premium service. A lot of you have subscribed, and we really appreciate your business. Those of you who have not subscribed, in each and every update, you can get our top 10 and watch list company tables. Every week, we put out a comprehensive weekly update. There's a real model portfolio included in each update. We have a company reports file. Sometimes we write long reports on these companies. And another thing I'm doing that I'm starting this particular issue is I'm going to introduce a new top 10 company table, but only for silver companies. So we started writing a lot about silver companies last week. We did a pretty big table, but I'm going to condense that into a top 10 silver company table starting this week. So I'm excited to announce that. Would love to have you at the Daily Gold Premium. Go to thedailygold.com/premium. Just scroll down to the bottom there and you can sign up and quickly get all this info at your fingertips very quickly. Thank you. And thank you to those of you who have subscribed. I really appreciate your business. Your business allows me to do what I love to do. So thank you for that. Now let's wrap things up here with the stocks. Let's remember the very big picture for gold stocks. In the last couple months, they broke out of a 4.5-year long base. Here's GDX, GDXJ, GOEX, which I've said this before, I like this better than GDXJ as an ETF. It's illiquid, so you must understand that, but I like the stocks in this better than GDXJ, which includes too many larger companies. But that aside, look at all these indexes. They broke out from 4.5-year-long bases. And this is just textbook breakout action here. Look at this, retest here, you had a retest, now it's up, up and away. Retest here, now it's up. GDX down here, when the market had that mini crash, that was a retest, moved up, then it tried to do a retest again, failed because the market's moving up again. So this is bullish action. There is a gap here, and I thought this gap might fill maybe after this week. It doesn't look like these gaps are going to fill. because you had such a strong week and strong weekly close. Finishing up here with the very short term, GDX, GDXJ, SILJ. These are the daily bar charts. And here we can see, look at this bullish price action. This is like a mini cup and handle here. Look, it's a mini cup, mini handle here. GDX, again, closing the week at a higher high. GDXJ even stronger. This is stronger than a cup. Look at that big move. A little bit of selling. Now it's moved back up. Really strong move in the silver stocks and the silver juniors. And so, again, I don't think these gaps here, that one, they're not going to fill. It doesn't look to me like they're going to fill. So even though these stocks are really extended, what it comes down to, and this is what I do in the Daily Gold Premium, it comes down to value. We are buying individual companies. We're looking for the best values with the best risk reward and the most upside potential. So even though the market can be really strong, you probably prefer, what I should say is some stocks will be much better values than other stocks. Everything doesn't move all up at once. There's fits and starts, and some stocks move sooner, some stocks move later. So it all comes back to value. Buy, hold, and trim. Trim the big winners, rotate that capital into better values, and we'll let you know on the Daily Gold Premium when it's time to take bigger profits. But I don't see that time just yet. Thank you so much for tuning in. Hope you had a great week. Let me know what you think. Leave a comment, and I hope you have a great weekend. And we'll see you in a couple days for Macro Mondays.